Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and welcome to my video for Life is Strange Double Exposure. In this video, I'll take you through everything you need in order to grab 100% completion, including things like photos, snapshots, clues, decorations, and even missable achievements and trophies. And I'll do all that, making sure to spoil as little as possible from the story. I do have the chapter in the bottom left corner as well as the sub-chapter in the bottom right corner. If you do want to mop anything up, make sure you do it through Explore mode. For Snapshot 1, in the bowling alley, pretty much as soon as you gain control of Max here, around the corner you'll find the snapshot of the stain. Just past that, if you go a little bit further in the bowling alley, you'll notice a ball dispenser, but just past that, you can aim down the bowling lanes to take a snapshot of those. That'll be our second of many. The snapshots and the photos are different collectibles, by the way, and make sure you actually take the photo and save it when prompted.
Figured out what your focus is gonna be.
Another category of collectibles are called decorations. These ones aren't as obvious as some of the other ones because the game doesn't actually label the collectibles, nor does it have a collectible counter in the menu other than for photos, which are really easy. But for our first decoration, what you're going to do is you're going to pull down the tarp, and just after that, you can head to the Mascot. Interact with the Mascot. This will start a short little interactable kind of cutscene. And once you come out of that cutscene, make sure you interact with the mini Mascot toy and take it. The reason we know this is a decoration, by the way, is because it'll become available as an object to interact with in our home later. From the mini Mascot in the bowling alley, let's go ahead and grab our next snapshot. Just behind the desk here, where the reception would be, you can take a snapshot of the bowling shoes. Make sure you're pressing snapshot, not just examine. And make sure you pull out your camera and save that photo as well.
Out what you're...
Last but not least, for this chapter, we can also take a snapshot of the Nebula. However, this is story related, so you can't miss it. I will include it in this video just to make sure you're on top of things. The snapshot related achievement has been known to be a little bit buggy, so I want to have all the bases covered here. In the next chapter, you'll have a conversation, and here you can begin to decide if you're doing the Bae or Bae style playthrough. There is an achievement or trophy for basically completing the game with both outcomes from Life is Strange 1. You'll have a left and a right decision. One is basically breaking up or growing apart, and the other is more unfortunate. You have to do one playthrough with each of these decisions. You'll then take control of Maxine inside of the bar, and here we can quickly grab the Art Restoration Achievement / Trophy, which is for fixing the art installations. There are going to be 3 places we can visit. Right here next to the stage, you can find the handwritten note about what's wrong with these, but basically there are these 3 locations where one of the paintings will be flipped, and you'll have to interact with the painting to flip it upright. I think it's pretty obvious which one's upside down, but I don't even know if you can do this wrong as long as you go to the right locations. So the first location we'll go to is right next to the stage. You don't have to do these in any specific order, but for the second art installation, what you can do is just go past the bar towards the booths in the back. Just squeeze in between these 2 dudes having a conversation, and you can fix the robot painting. Last but not least, to get the art restoration, let's go and find the 3rd painting. And here, just go back to where you came from, turn to the right, and past the little exit door, you'll see a pirate mural on the wall. And here you can flip the last art in order to grab the achievement or trophy. You won't see mine unlock on screen as I did it on a different recording. While you're here, don't forget to grab your first of 20 photos for the game. Not every chapter has the same amount of photos. Chapter 1 has 3, but you can find photo number 1 next to this door that is not far from that last art piece.
Undergrads.
And last but not least, there is a key decision that happens in the bar during the conversation with Amanda. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you will lock yourself out of potential achievements and trophies later on in the game. When she asks if it's a date thing or a friend thing, you want to choose a date thing in order to have the romance options later in the game. We then find ourselves on the rooftops in the chapter called Things Are Looking Up. And here you want to make sure you grab the snapshots before you talk to these 2 people Talking to them can progress the story in a way that won't let you take photos of them. So we'll start by taking a snapshot of Safi here. You'll then want to move and take a snapshot of Moses as well. There will be a new mechanic here that allows you to change the pose choices. I did use this option most of the time when it was available, in case you want to be safe. Next, we also have an opportunity here to get a missable achievement / trophy for putting the cap in Caper. You'll talk to Moses first, and Moses will give you a bottle cap during that cutscene. Once you have the bottle cap, what you want to do is move towards the chairs and examine the sour candy. If you turn the sour candy to find the opening, you'll be able to interact with it to place the bottle cap inside.
And give her a bottle cap instead.
After you do that, go ahead and speak to Safi, and here you'll want to mention a specific dialogue choice of want some candy. You can't do this unless the bottle cap was placed inside. This will play a little bit of a trick on her and unlock you the achievement.
Shit. Come on, Max. Surely you...
At some point after the rooftop scene, you'll exit the school and walk down this walkway. There will be a snowman to your right, a statue in front of you, but as the path curves around to the left, keep going until the path meets the fence, looking on the floor to find photo number 2. Make sure you're taking the photo every time, and you should be good to go. The next chapter takes place in Max's house. This house kind of reminds me of the house from Tell Me Why, if you played that game, but there are 2 things we really want to focus on while we're here. First of all, before you get dressed or tidy up, because that kind of proceeds to the next scene, what we want to do is grab photo number 3 of 3 for chapter 1. It's located on the desk next to the telescope. Grabbing this should unlock an achievement or trophy for finding all of them in chapter 1. Additionally, a very important decoration is the Arcadia Bae photos. You'll notice there's a box next to the couch. This is the memory box, and you want to interact with it. You have to do that to progress. But after you interact with it, it'll move the box and reveal some Arcadia Bae photos underneath. This is not actually the collectible just yet. We have to do something with this in order for it to count as a decoration. Go ahead and grab those Arcadia Bae photos, head upstairs, and interact with your photo mural, making sure you add the photos in order for them to count. This was my last one, so my achievement or trophy did unlock here, but there are a few more to go if you're following along. Now, next up, we are at the Back to School Blues chapter, and once you kind of gain control of Max here, you're going to want to move forward and keep to the left to go underneath this kind of wooden gazebo here. As you do that, you should automatically start having this conversation with Reggie, who's very upset about a box. After the short cutscene, you should walk up to the puzzle box and take it. This will start another little bit of an interaction here between Reggie and Max.
Shit's all yours if you want it.
During this interaction, you'll now have an option to say, "What's this puzzle box?" And Reggie will begin explaining it a little bit. This will allow you to then interact with it, and there are 4 interactions we need to do to open it up. The first interaction is the eye. The second interaction is the founder's statue. The third interaction is the bird. In between each of these interactions, there can be a small little cutscene, by the way. And once we have the bird out of the box, place the bird on the founder statue again to solve the first layer of the box. There are more layers later in the game if you want the achievement or trophy. Also, this box does get taken home with you, so theoretically it could count as a decoration collectible as well. Now, next up, I'm going to tell you to pick up the Origami Flower, and you're going to ask me why, and I'm going to tell you because I want to be very safe in this video. I'm not sure if this counts as a project or a decoration or neither or both, but for that reason, I'm going to tell you to pick it up either way. Go towards the statue and make sure you pick it up off the bench. You're going to have to twist it and fold it completely out in order to finish it off, and then you can back out and it should be gone from the bench. And don't worry, this is the only collectible I'm going to show you where I have a little bit of uncertainty. Another type of collectible is also the projects. There's a couple of student projects you're going to basically be able to interact with during your playthrough and make certain commentary. The first one available here is Loretta's laptop project. If you interact with it, Max will make a comment about how many fans she has. Next up, we can grab the Male Gaze achievement / trophy, and this is also going to be necessary for a achievement or trophy later on in the game called Favor Saver. As you're working your way through the school, you'll meet with Vihn, and after you talk to him, you'll be given an optional objective to help Vihn find his package. Head back towards the Fine Arts building and peek into the room on the left, which is the mail room. Here you'll be able to interact with this bin down at the bottom and to the left from the door. After interacting with it, you can take the package out of the bin. Once you have the package, there should be a symbol in the top left corner of your screen, and now you can head back into the hallway and head back towards Vihn. Here you'll have an option now to hand him his package, and this will start a new conversation with him, basically saying that you did him a big favor and he's going to owe you one. So that favor aspect of the conversation we'll use for an achievement or trophy later, but just for delivering the package at all, we're also going to get the Male Gaze. And last but not least, for Chapter 1, after you talk to Vihn and Yasmin, you'll be able to go back to the Fine Arts building to talk to Moses. Before you talk to Moses, head over to the left and make sure you take the Abraxas rose. This is a clue for a box we'll need later, but it's also going to be a decoration as it ends up in your house. You're going to need this. This is very important to a lot of things. We can then move on to Chapter 2. Near the beginning of the Table for 3 chapter, you'll gain control of Maxine. You'll be able to turn around and snapshot Safi and Yasmin sitting at the booth. There will be a new mechanic here where you can switch between worlds, the living and the dead, and you'll see at the top of the screen which world I'm in. So I'm going to make a quick switch to the dead world. And then once I come out, I'll be able to go around the bar and find my 4th photo of the game, my first of the chapter. I then have a missable achievement / trophy I can go for called the Loyal Flush. And here I am in the living world, so go ahead and switch back if you're coming off that photo collectible. And then head outside to the patio and speak to the Dart Gun Kids. You're not going to get very far with them, but let the whole conversation go through. Once the conversation is done, you'll figure out that there's something wrong with the key. So let's go ahead and enter back into the bar. And now we're going to want to switch to the dead world. Once in the dead world, turn around and head back onto the patio. Those guys won't be there anymore, but we do have an ability that lets us see between universes. So go ahead and use one of those bumpers to bring up the conversation between the assassins. They're playing a little bit of a game that has to do with the key itself. And you're going to want to sit here during that whole conversation. I actually don't think you can leave until it's over, but when it is over, you can go back into the bar. With our new knowledge, we can take the key from right beside the bar, and this is in the dead world, and we'll have this item kind of added to our inventory in the top left. Now with this item, we will want to switch back to the living world, and then we can put this item back on the little key stand.
I like that you took drugs.
As you place the bathroom key back on the hook, it should start a very specific cutscene where you'll notice that there is a quote-unquote timid guy in the back who is very excited that the washroom key is added back, and then he will go to the washroom. This will unlock the Loyal Flush achievement / trophy. We then move on to the chapter called By the Horns, and we'll be outside of the school, and there is a very specific beginning to an achievement called Platypus Genius. We'll want to switch to the dead world by the statue, and then go up to the tree that's kind of in front of the school, and interact with the platypus poster. You can only interact with it in this world. After you interact with it, you can back out and then you can interact with it a second time, this time allowing you to sign up to the Platypus facts on your phone. You'll want to do this as this is something that is important for an achievement that happens all the way at the very end of the game. If you don't do it now, you have to do a whole nother replay. After doing this, you'll notice that periodically you'll get platypus facts delivered to your phone in a text when visiting the dead world. And it's probably worth just reading them to dismiss them so that more come in later. Additionally, outside of the school, we can find our 5th photo of the game. Let's go ahead and switch back to the living world. And once we do that, just head in the direction of the statue all the way past as much as you really can. And you'll end up where we grabbed the puzzle box earlier inside of that little kind of outdoor building. And on the table here, you'll be able to find a photo. I think we're going to find another photo here later on in the game as well. From this photo, you can also grab your next snapshot. So use the pathway that goes around the lake to go on the opposite side of where the school entrance is. You'll end up going across a small bridge here. And on the other side of that bridge, on the left, as you cross it, you'll notice that there is kind of a snowman, but that snowman is built, I believe, on top of a statue. Either way, it's called Snow David, and you can take a snapshot of it, so make sure you do.
Men, what's stopping you from dressing like this?
The next thing you want to grab, which is super important, is the tablet project. You'll enter into the building and go to the fine arts building section of the building, not the admin part. And as you do, go to the tree near the kind of circular windows. Here you'll be able to interact with the tablet. You have to wait the full 3 minutes for the entire dialogue to end, which at the end, Max will say something like, "The biggest untold true crime of the century." You are then ready to move on. The next couple things we'll want to grab are still in that same fine arts building area. We'll call it the Fab going forward, but you'll find the phone booth, which you can take a snapshot of. So start with the snapshot of the phone booth, but then after the phone booth, you want to also grab the phone art project, which is a separate interaction with the phone booth. What you'll want to do is read the sign, then press look on the phone booth, and here you'll be able to now talk to the future. And then after this dialogue, you want to go to the other side of the phone and also have an interaction with it. You want to make sure you hear from the past, but you also want to make sure you use the look interaction. After both of these interactions, you have completed the phone art project. Don't forget to look at the plaque and look at both of the phones as well. Eventually, you'll then end up inside of Gwen's office, and this is a part of the story. You'll come here naturally. Switch between worlds, and now we can grab a snapshot of a bookend on the left of the room. Make sure you grab that.
It's like a bumper sticker evolved into a bookend.
Inside of Gwen's office, we also have the first part of a 2-part achievement or trophy called Thirst Trap. In the dead world, you want to water the plant near the aquarium and just allow that to happen. We now have a very important clue to get, which is the signed book. After exiting Gwen's office, you'll have to talk to Lucas, who is sitting on the floor of the Fab Cafe. The Fine Arts building is the Fab again. And you'll have to distract Lucas. This is a main story thing you'll have to do. And during this, you'll have a conversation with him about his book. Let that conversation play out. And after that conversation, look back to Lucas and you can interact with his stack of books. Have this next conversation with him and it should lead to him gifting you a signed copy. After the conversation itself, don't forget to actually take the book from the table, but this is going to be our second of many clues. There are 6 total clues we'll get. 2 of them are story related, so I'll show you the 4 optional ones. Another thing we'll have to do as a kind of mandatory part of this chapter is to use the Sharpie on the cardboard cutout to basically draw something on it. And after we draw something on it, we have to let Lucas know about it. He'll get up to go examine it. This will allow us to get into his briefcase. But before you do anything, make sure you go up to Lucas, who's now inspecting the Expo Standee. And here you can take a snapshot. This one can be a little bit easy to miss if you're too quick on the main objective.
Huh. The devil really is in the details.
Next, you'll want to make your way into the admin building. You'll want to take a note as to which world I'm in. And as you enter into the offices, you'll find Vihn on the sofa to the left. You'll be able to take a snapshot of him here.
Pick a card, any card. Or
Next, we can get the Favor Saver achievement / trophy to unlock. In the living world, Vihn will have to be in his office, so you're probably going to have to do a little bit of story development with his phone in order to get him there. But when that's ready, you can then switch to the dead world, and when you need the password to the phone, you can now go and talk to the other Vihn. And here you'll be able to have a conversation about the phone's password. This is pretty important. And what you want to do is, when asked if you want to bank your favor that you did for him earlier, instead of actually banking that favor, you want to save it by pressing Save It for Later. Doing this will unlock the Favor Saver achievement / trophy. We then move on to the next chapter called Leave Nothing Overlooked. You'll be coming up this path that is blocked by a guard, and switching worlds will allow you to go up that path. But there is a very tricky snapshot that is kind of paired with a clue we also need. And to do it, after switching worlds, you want to go back down the path we just kind of came from. Look to your left when going downwards to find a tree. If you look at that, you'll find the mug inside, which you can take a snapshot of. The snapshot option is only unlocked after your first interaction, by the way.
no one's getting that back.
Next, when continuing up the path, you'll be blocked by a tree in the middle of that path, and you're supposed to switch worlds to get past it. Instead of doing that, you want to actually look at the sign on the left of the tree, and then inspect the tree near the middle. After doing both of these interactions, it should count this project, which is called the Sanctuary Tree. Now, personally, for me, this was my final project to unlock the achievement or trophy, but I did go back here through Explore mode.
F's in the chat for...
You'll then make your way up to the top of the hill and go around the corner, and before talking to Gwen, make sure you grab the photo off of the bench right here on our left. Take that, and now you should talk to Gwen. During your conversation with Gwen, there will be a key moment where you have to make a decision, and there is kind of one good decision that leads to a good ending and opportunities for achievements or trophies later on in the game. And that decision that you want to choose is save the footage. This will also give you a clue for Gwen's flash drive, otherwise it burns in the garbage. So we're also going to need this for the clue-related achievement / trophy. So make sure you save the footage either way.
What the fuck?
We'll then end up inside of Moses's lab. And after a little bit of time, we'll be able to switch worlds in the corner here. And after the world switch, we'll be inside of the office. You'll kind of get teleported to the front of the room the first time you switch, but near the computers, you'll be able to find photo number 7. Additionally, you'll be able to find a very tricky snapshot for the mural. This may also count as a project, but just look at the mural from the bottom of the ladder. And unfortunately, you can't take a picture of it because it's too high. So we're going to go and find the better angle. Head up the stairs and around the corner, standing kind of in front of the projector. This will allow you to get a different angle and allow you to take the snapshot. So grab that.
Moses and Safi. So different.
Later on in the lab section, you'll talk to Detective Alderman here. And for the Be Great Do Crime achievement / trophy, we're going to have to choose the agree option with the detective. This is a key moment.
Sure. Of course.
Now that you're back at home, let's go for the final photo of this chapter. Take control of Max, head forward and to the right to where your stereo is to find the photo. From here, we can also get the Thinking Outside the Box achievement / trophy. This is the final part. So go to your kitchen and interact with that puzzle box. The first thing we want to do is rotate it to the constellation face. And you have to have them in a specific order. I'm going to attempt to show you that order, but right as I do a movement, it locks in and immediately disappears. So get into this position and then go to the second one and move it up. This will lock it in, and that should be that puzzle face. Then what you want to do is grab that dial that just poked out of the side, place that dial on the logo, and here you'll have two rings that you can rotate, and you're going to want to rotate the rings as follows.
Well, well, well. Max Caulfield, you clever minx. Wait, does the outer dial move now?
The easiest way to describe the solution is that for the outer ring in the top left corner, you should have the bow and arrow, and for the inner ring in the top left corner, you should have the shield. Once you have those in place, it should open up a removable lid, which will get you a token inside, unlocking the achievement or trophy.
I'm official Abraxas material.
While we're at it, let's go ahead and grab another achievement or trophy. Still inside of the house, you'll want to switch between worlds and water the plant in the far left corner of your living room. This is the second plant we've watered, but this will unlock the Thirst Trap achievement / trophy. This one's pretty easy. Next up, I'll try to keep this simple, but this is optional if you have the exclusive cat DLC content. This does reveal a snapshot to us, and if you have that content, I would recommend getting the snapshot. However, if you don't have the cat add-on DLC, it's completely fine. You can still get the snapshot-related achievement. You just won't be able to do this. Either way, if you have it, I'd recommend you do it. And if you don't have it, don't worry. It'll still unlock everything as you plan later on in the video. So you'll interact with the door as there is meowing happening. This will let in a cat. You'll be able to give it a name and breed, but it doesn't really matter what you pick. After you let it in, go ahead and go to your kitchen, interact with your cabinet to feed it. After that, go ahead and go to your couch to interact with the pillow. This will move the pillow to the ground, allowing the cat to use it as a bed. Once the cat is on the bed here, you should be able to use the snapshot mechanic to grab a quick photo of it. Nearing the end of the chapter here, you want to go to the living room and review the clues at your coffee table. Make sure you do this before you go downstairs. This is necessary for the Be Great Do Crime achievement / trophy. There's a third part coming up, but it won't work unless you do this part. So just review the clues. It's okay if you don't have all of the clues. You'll definitely have at least 2, which are mandatory for game progression. You should have all 6 if you followed the video. And then last but not least, you'll go downstairs to have a conversation with Moses. And for the final part of the Be Great Do Crime achievement / trophy, there is a dialogue choice here where you have to choose, I'm not actually going to cooperate. Doing this basically lets Moses know that you're on his side and unlocks the achievement or trophy.
It's nice when you have that option.
Moving on to Chapter 3, assuming you follow the steps in Chapter 2, you'll start with some evidence on the table, including Gwen's flash drive. You'll have to make sure that you watch the footage, as this is a key decision type moment where it opens up more options later on in the game. Later in the chapter, you'll revisit the crime scene, and here, before sitting down on the bench, make sure you take a snapshot of the Snowdrop flowers. This is the imprint on the ground here.
Poetic to say about this.
Then we'll make our way back to the Fab. Our goal here is to talk to Gwen in the dead world, and you'll want to make sure you quickly go over to the cafe and find the photo on the table before you move on. Additionally, inside of the Fine Arts building, there is a very tricky snapshot, and for this, we'll walk towards the tree and go behind it and interact with the stained glass windows for a snapshot. Unfortunately, you can't actually take it. You need to find a better position for it. So we're going to stand in front of the tree to get the windows and the tree in the snapshot at the same time. And once you grab this, this is one of the harder ones out of the way.
This is a lot prettier than my usual work, but
we can also grab a snapshot of a record player. And from the Fab, let's go into Gwen's office here. And as we enter, if you look to the right-hand side, you'll find the record player. And here, grab the snapshot before you interact with some of the other things in the office. From the Fine Arts building, we'll then move to the admin building, and we'll want to switch to the Dead World here and go into the kind of office that Vihn used to be in. This is right before Yasmin's office. There's 2 collectibles to grab when you're in here. The first one is the snapshot of the hedgehog on the table directly in front of you. So make sure you grab that snapshot. But there is one more thing. You'll want to also grab the photo of the hedgehog, which is on the wooden table. Again, both of these have to be done in the Dead World. As a part of the story, you'll then have to go and enter Lucas's office. And when you do this, there's a couple of things we have to do when we're inside to actually progress the story, but there's also a couple things you want to do if you're looking to get the snapshots and all of the achievements and trophies. So once you enter, let's look to the right-hand side and find the golden typewriter. You want to grab a snapshot of this as the first thing you do in the room, and you don't need to do the double exposure shots I mentioned earlier in the video. The next thing we can grab is right next to the typewriter. You can find a photo just hanging out right next to the trophy there. Pick that up. And while we're here, we can also grab the page turner achievement / trophy for finding all of the books and reading through them in this office. So look underneath the painting into the bottom drawer next to the door we entered from. If you do this, you'll find a bunch of files, and then during a cutscene, those files will be put on a desk. You want to interact with every single one of these, which include all of the folders, like the green, blue, and I believe purple folder. There's a couple of posters and flyers as well. I interacted with everything on the desk here, flipping through all the available pages when possible. After doing that, I'm going to go over to Lucas's desk. I'm going to look at the family photo. I'm going to examine it and flip it upside down to find the key that's hidden underneath. After I find the key that's hidden underneath, I can grab the key and I can take it over to that golden typewriter and use the key to open it up. If I open it up, there should be some documents inside that I'll be able to grab. And this is also necessary for the page turner achievement we're still working on. Once I grab these pages out, I make sure to flip through them and read them. And then I can back out, and eventually here you'll see an achievement or trophy unlock, as Sam does theoretically snap a snapshot during the cutscene. I would make sure to grab this on my playthrough. We then take control of Max inside of the bar. Once we do, let's go ahead and walk forward, turning to the left, hooking around these chairs on our left to find the photo on a table here. Make sure you grab that before you start talking to people. Now, while you're at the bar, you're going to be talking to Amanda and Vihn in separate worlds, and you're going to have romance options for both of them. There are 4 total achievements or trophies you can grab here. One is for romancing neither of them. You get one for both and one for each of them individually. I have highlighted the one that I personally did in my playthrough in green if you want to follow the exact same things I did. For the romance to happen, all you need to do is kiss them at the end of the long dialogue trees. One thing to keep in mind is that for the option for Amanda to appear, you do have to have chosen the a date thing dialogue option I told you to in chapter 1. Additionally, don't worry about missing all of the other ones. You can go and replay this chapter in explore mode, use the bumper to skip through all the conversations, and you can mop up the other 3 in literally 3 minutes. The next 2 snapshots also kind of happen simultaneously as you're doing the romance options. After talking to Amanda, make sure you grab a snapshot of her. You have to be in the proper world. Additionally, after your conversation with Vihn, you also have to take a snapshot of him. So those are 2 snapshots from the 2 people we talked to in the bar in different worlds. Make sure you grab both of them before you even consider leaving the bar, but there's one more thing to do. This is just a reminder, as these will be automatic, but you will be texted platypus facts continually through the game. You can check on those now. Before leaving the bar in the living world, make sure you talk to Gwen, which will have an automatic conversation about the flash drive. For this conversation to go how we want it, you would have had to save the footage in chapter 2 and watch the footage in chapter 3, which I did tell you about in this video earlier. Next up, we will return home, and this is something to do with the exclusive cat content. If you own the cat content, grab this snapshot, but if you don't own it, it isn't necessary for you to get your completion. Once you return home, you'll notice the cat is freaked out on top of the fridge. go ahead and make sure you take a snapshot of it before you move on. There's been a lot of conversation online about the snapshot achievement / trophy and how it relates to the cat content. If you don't own the cat content, I guarantee you do not need to get the cat photos. Last but not least, for chapter 3, before we move on and do our main objective, make sure you grab your final photo of the chapter. You'll want to switch to the dead world here and go to the corner of your living room to find the photo on the table. Once you pick that up, you should get all the photos for chapter 3. If you finish off chapter 3, chapter 4 and 5 are quite short, so we are in the home stretch. Starting off with chapter 4, and near the beginning of the chapter, we can grab photo number 14. There's quite a long conversation, I believe, before you can actually take control of the character. But for photo number 14, let's go ahead and switch back to the dead world and find the photo on the desk or the table in the corner. Now, the next two things are only available to you if you do have the optional cat exclusive content. If you do have it, I'd recommend you do both of these things. If you don't have it, it's okay. You'll still get your completion at the end as long as you don't get bugged. But what you want to do if you do have the cat content is go upstairs and take a snapshot of the cat sitting at the foot of the bed. There's also another thing we're going to do after this interaction, though.
Then I get
Quentin, let's immortalize the moment.
After taking the snapshot, you can also grab a DLC achievement or trophy called Heavy Petting for interacting with the cat using the pet option, available only after the snapshot, I believe. Just wait for the entire little cutscene to play out before it unlocks. Now, a large chunk of Chapter 4 takes place at the Snapping Turtle, especially in terms of gameplay, and we're going to have a lot of things to do here. So pretty much as soon as you take control of Max, the first things I'd recommend are a couple of snapshots just so you don't miss them. The first one is the Abraxas Kid wearing the mask. He's going to be directly in front of you as you spawn a little bit to the right. Additionally, another snapshot we can grab, which is a little bit trickier because it's a two-stage process, is the stage. Go up to the stage and try to take a photo. You will not be able to because the angle is bad and the photo composition is bad, and Max wouldn't be caught dead taking a bad photo. So we're going to move in front of the projector and then take a snapshot from there. After grabbing those two snapshots, let's go ahead and grab the Nothing Lasts Forever achievement / trophy, which is part of the exclusive cat content DLC. So it's only going to be possible if you have that, and I would recommend that you do it if you do have the cat content. If you don't worry, you'll have to skip it. But you'll want to go up to the podcast flyer, which is on the wall next to the exit to the patio. If you examine it first, you should be able to interact with it a second time in order to scan the QR code. This will lead you to a clip of Loretta's podcast, finding the cat owner, and this will also have some implications later on in the game. After that, while still in the living world, you should see Diamond and Moses playing a kind of tabletop RPG game, and if you interact with them, you'll have a little bit of a conversation, and after that conversation, you should be able to then take a snapshot of them, and that should be your next snapshot. If you're not able to, you might need to switch back and forth between worlds and talk to a few people before this option becomes available. We can then get photo number 15. In order to grab that, let's go ahead and switch to the dead world before completing our main objectives. And while here, you can go to a booth near the stage to find the photo. Now, next up, I have a key decision. It's not 100% necessary, but it'll make a lot more sense later on in the game if you do this. You'll have to distract Reggie in order to get kind of access to the projector. And to do that, you'll text with Diamond, and you'll have two options. You want to distract Reggie with the missing assignment. This will make something specific happen at the end of the game that might make things a little bit easier to mop up. Next up, we can grab the Home Sweet Home achievement / trophy, which is related to the Gingerbread house, but this is only available once you've already completed the little kind of projector mini game and you've done all the scenes there. You're going to return to the dead world to talk to Moses about the plan that you had and how it worked. And after that, you're supposed to report to Sophie, which basically closes the scene. Instead, you're going to know that Moses needs help with his gingerbread house, And then you can go to Safi and use a specific dialogue option to ask about the gingerbread house instead of speaking to her. This will give you the chimney, and then you can now return to the dead world and give the chimney to Moses in order to unlock that Home Sweet Home achievement. Also, very importantly, after you help Moses build the gingerbread house, you now have to turn around and take a snapshot of it. This is very important and somewhat missable, as the only other available interaction leads you away from the bar. Once you do speak to Safi, you'll have to end up exiting the bar to the patio, where you'll see Lucas and Loretta outside talking to each other. And here you want to find photo number 16, which is located on one of the sitting chairs on the left. Last but not least, after the bar scene, you'll end up having a really bad headache outside of the school, and you want to walk directly forward, and you'll notice that there is the large rock as well as the art sculpture. And we've been here 2 times before for a photo collectible, and there's another one located here. After you pick it up, this should be the last photo of your chapter as well. In case it wasn't obvious, it's inside of the little hut on the picnic table. We can then move on to chapter 5. We'll start off with photo 18. You'll make your way to the roof where you can talk to Moses. Before you do that, make sure you grab photo number 18 on the railing. Only talk to him afterwards. And then when you do talk to him, you can watch a movie or take a photo of him. It doesn't actually matter which one you pick, but I decided to take a photo. And this is a story-related photo. You will need to use double exposure, but this is story-related if you want to keep making progress in the game.
If I superimposed 2 images of most...
Next up, without getting into too many spoilers, you will come to a mandatory section of the game where you are transported to the Blackwell Academy bathroom, from where you take control of Max, turn around to find photo number 19.
Max and Sophie?
Later on, we'll come to another story-related photo that you have to take. This one is in the bowling alley, and it's of Lucas. We'll have an objective here to save Lucas, and we will need to do the double exposure again. Double exposure is not needed for the Frame Fatale achievement, but it is necessary to make progress in the story here. A little bit later on, you will return to the bar. Do not exit to the patio to talk to Gwen. There is a photo you'll want to grab first by going and switching worlds. And after you do that, go to the kind of front of the bar, not far from the stage. Again, do not exit to the patio or you'll have to replay through chapter select. But grab photo 20, our final photo, not far from the stage. A bunch of achievements or trophies should unlock at this point if you'd follow along and gotten 20 out of 20. You can then go to the washroom area and switch worlds again. This is necessary to make more story progress, as we'll need to talk to Gwen in order to develop the story further. Once you are in that world, you can go to the patio to talk to Gwen, but make sure you take a snapshot of them. And again, this one is story related and does require double exposure, but you should be good to go once you're done.
Hang on, Gwen. It's almost over.
Now bear with me here, the next few might seem really confusing, but they're not. If you have the cat content, you would have found the cat owner in chapter 4. If you did that, you'll know that Loretta is the cat owner and you return her cat to her during this chapter. Once you return that cat to her, go and find her underneath that little pagoda, talk to her, and take a photo of her. Now, if you didn't find the cat owner, or you don't have the cat exclusive DLC, that's fine. You can just skip this step and you'll still get the Frame Fatale achievement, but you do have to get a different photo of Loretta. Just for the purposes of the guide, I'm calling this Snapshot 32, and this is the A possibility. Also, I did use the double exposure on this photograph, but I'm like 99.9% sure it's not necessary in order to get the achievement or trophy. Now, if you weren't able to get option 32A, that means you're in a playthrough where you can grab option 32B, and either one of them are fine. You do not need both of them. Only one playthrough is necessary. In option B, basically this is just the scenario where we either don't have the exclusive cat content, or we didn't interact with the poster at the bar and then did not find the cat owner. Either way, Loretta's in the same place and you want to grab her snapshot. Now, Snapshot 33 also has a couple of variants. If you romanced Vihn in Chapter 3, Reggie will also be standing here next to Loretta. It will be required that you have a conversation with them and take a snapshot of them. As I let you know earlier, I only romanced Amanda, therefore Reggie is not here in my playthrough, but if he was, I would take a snapshot of him. For the next one, it's a little bit easier. Everyone has to grab this one. It's the Caledon statue from Loretta and Reggie. Go ahead and grab the Caledon statue, which is kind of directly in the middle of your path. You'll have to do the little inspection on the statue, and you do not have a good angle to take a photo. What you can do, though, is you can stand kind of right next to the bridge, and you'll take a better photo of it, capturing one of our final snapshots of the game.
I wonder how I'll feel about this photo in 10 years.
Eventually, you'll make it back into the snapping turtle. This is the kind of finale of the game, and there's going to be a whole bunch of conversations and snapshots we need to have. The first one, I believe, is automatic as soon as you enter, and it's with Moses. Make sure that right after that conversation, you turn around and interact with him in order to take a snapshot. When possible, here I did use double exposure, and I did use the smile prompt. Again, I'm fairly certain this isn't necessary, but if you want to be safe, you can double expose and ask for the secondary pose here.
I couldn't smile.
If you did not romance Vihn in Chapter 3, Reggie and Vihn will be at the bar together. You'll talk to both of them, and then after that conversation, you can grab a snapshot of both of them. Again, you don't need this one if you have Reggie back with Loretta. You'll either get one or the other. This is another example of where I did use double exposure, and I'm fairly certain it's not necessary.
Hell yes.
They're kind of a cute couple, honestly.
Now, on the flip side, if you did romance Vihn in Chapter 3, only Vihn will be at the bar solo, and you'll have a conversation with him, and you'll be able to grab a snapshot of him as well. Again, this isn't something I did, so you don't need to do it. You just need to make sure you get the ones that are available in your version of the game. So regardless of who's sitting here in your playthrough, make sure you take a snapshot. Everything that's left is super simple. Snapshot 36 for this guide will be diamond. As you're walking around in the bar, you'll have an automatic conversation with them. Once that conversation is over, you can find them sitting next to Moses at the bar, and you can approach and ask for that snapshot as we've been doing. You want to do that. I did use the double exposure and the smile pose if it was available here. Again, it shouldn't matter, but I did do it. Next, another person we'll need to talk to at the end of the game is Amanda. Amanda is pretty much right in front of you in the middle by the stage. You should talk to Amanda, have a lengthy conversation, and at the end, ask politely to take a snapshot, in which, again, I'll use double exposure and the smile pose, but it's not necessary. Either way, we are nearing the end of the game here.
For the road?
Sure.
Say cheese.
I will not.
Then I have snapshot number 38. This is Gwen. Gwen is only here because I saved the footage back in an earlier chapter, and because I watched that footage in Chapter 3, and I talked to her at the bar in Chapter 3. This is basically the good ending for Gwen, and that's the only reason she's here. Otherwise, she's not present. After your conversation, have a snapshot. Again, I use double exposure and the smile toggle pose, but I don't believe either of those are necessary. If Gwen is in your game, though, you are going to need to get the photo. If she's not in your game, you don't technically need the photo, but either way, if she's here, you should check, and she should be here if you've been following along. This was my final frame for frame fatale. However, there is still one more achievement. After that conversation and all of the conversations being exhausted in the bar, you should now receive your final message from Platypus Facts. Open up your phone and read this final message. Doing so will unlock the Platypus Genius. Putting this video together was a lot of work, so I'd really appreciate if you dropped a like if you found it helpful. Feel free to use the explore mode to mop up anything you might have missed, and I hope you enjoyed. Share the video with a friend. Special thanks to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Peace.